Hey everyone, thank you for listening to another episode of Spoiler Force Podcast. You can find more episodes on any major podcasting platform such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, and even on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure to follow and like Spoiler Force Podcast on Facebook.
This is Kaizer, and you're listening to Spoiler Force Podcast.
All right, so this is episode 64 of Spoiler Force Podcast. My name is Ricky, and thank you for tuning in. This week's guest is someone that I met through the Anime Expo Light convention back July 4th, the weekend there. And it was pretty cool just to promote myself during the Twitch streams and stuff and have people either troll me or actually legitimately email me. And the guest here emailed me with a very great, I guess you could say, topic or discussion for this episode. So let me introduce my guest here, Kaizer. Thank you so much for making time to be on the podcast.
Hey, thank you for reaching out to me and getting back to me, man.
Yeah, it was definitely this is definitely new to me for sure. The topic that you were bringing up for yourself, being a sculptor and cryopreservation. Am I saying that right? Because
Yeah, so cryopreservation, when you think about that, you usually think about freezing somebody and letting them sit until there's a cure for whatever disease they have, and then unfreezing them. I think you've heard about the Walt Disney fiasco where people believe Walt Disney froze his brain to come back later. And that's basically what I research.
actually, I've never heard of that before. That's the first time I've ever heard of Walt Disney being a part of that. When I think of cryopreservation, I always think of like Mr. Freeze from Batman or like those comic book villains. Never put it into that way. Is that like a conspiracy theory? Then is that what it is?
Oh
With Walt
yeah,
Disney?
it's really big. It has roots everywhere. I think they've touched on it in Family Guy and other TV shows.
Okay, I gotta look that up. Then I think I must have missed it. I never knew. But yeah, you do also do sculpting, and I seen recently as well. You were on a I missed the panel, but you were on a panel for AkashaCon. Is that right?
Yeah, that one was actually yesterday, which would have been July 17th. I was really lucky to get in there because I filmed my panel in 3 days and I edited all of that footage in 3 days for ConText. And then I said, hey, I've got this panel I did. Do you want to put it on your convention too? And they got me a time slot at the beginning of the convention.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I thought the conventions were either live, but pre-recorded's fine too. Now, were you only putting up your footage, or was it footage from like your previous entire panel that was going on there?
So I just put in my whole panel that I shot. They also did an interview too, which is pretty cool. I got to interact with the fans. I've never done anything live, so it's awesome to see all the comments come in. There are no flamers or anything, just real wholesome.
Thinking back to what you're also doing, like with sculpting and the 3D models that you do. For the listeners, Kaizer also has a Instagram account, which the links will be in the descriptions below as well. That way you can check out his work. I saw one you posted today with the Shin Godzilla. Did you do that one from scratch too?
That one's just a repaint, so I took
repaint?
an
Okay.
off-the-shelf one, yeah. Primed it, did some coloring. I was practicing some new brushes that I got. I got some weathering sponges, stuff used for gunpla, but I used it on a model kit.
But you do make your own figurines, right? And I guess pretty much paint them, polish them, and all that too.
Yeah, I'm kind of a generalist in that sense. I work in mixed media, so I'll do some creation, and then I'll also do modification. But I do sculpt with polymer clay and different two-part epoxies.
Okay, and for the listeners, can you kind of explain to them like how you got into this career field, I guess, for sculpting?
I've actually bounced around my whole time as a student, and I'm a recent graduate now. Just got my degree in mechanical engineering. And during that time, when I was studying to be a mechanical engineer, I noticed that I'd put in a lot of work, about 14 hours a day, into studying or working on projects. You wouldn't see a payoff until months down the line, or if the idea was scrapped, you never see anything come out of it. And it can kind of put you in a bad mood when we're spending all this time working on a project. And I've always loved creating. I've always done art. I was in videography before this, and I have a long history of painting and airbrushing and doing modifications. So right when I graduated and COVID happened, I found myself with a lot of free time and just kind of wanting to do something for myself. So I started sculpting.
That is, with COVID happening everywhere, that's what I've been noticing a lot with a lot of creators and content creators, and just generally, like everyone's trying out different things to do and see where their skills are best at, and trying new things like what you said with sculpting. And for me, myself, with just trying to improve the podcast and just focusing on just a creative outlet, which has been very helpful during this whole COVID-19 situation and quarantine. So you've only just started sculpting this year then?
Yes.
Okay. Do you mess with like 3D printing at all?
Oh yeah, I've done a lot of 3D modeling before this. So this was my first real hands-on with traditional. I would say first hands-on with traditional, but first time with clay, as I work with metal. I do welding and different types of fabrication.
Yeah, I used to do CNC programming,
Hmm.
and I didn't last too long in that field because, if anything, my dad is actually the one who's really good at it. He only got me in just to see if I can try it out. I only did it for like a year and a half or so. I like the whole digital aspect of it, creating it on the laptop, and then when it came to the physical part, making sure that the machine was running, that part was like I didn't do too well hands on, so I didn't
Yeah.
really pursue that career. But yeah, it's very similar with just creating with 3D printing and making sure that your axes are right with the machine, making sure
Yeah.
that it matches the print also, and I like this whole aspect that you're doing with sculpting too, because this is something that that's actually getting big with the anime community, with figurines and collectibles, and not just that, with also cosplayers. Cosplayers are also
Right.
using these kind of materials and building their costumes through this way. Is that something that you've, I guess, considered doing as well with sculpting too?
Right. So with a lot of sculpting and different kind of craft mindsets, it does bleed into other arts too. I was just watching some people who are doing Lolita fashion, and I want to get involved with them and start getting some reference images so I can see how the texture of their clothes moves and just what the folds look like, because there's so many layers in those. I would say I got in because I noticed there was a big gap in people creating figures specifically for characters. And when you go on YouTube and you look for people who are showing you how to make figures, there's only a handful amount of people, and a lot of them speak Japanese. None of them speak English. So I wanted to be able to give back to the community and show people it's really simple to do. You don't need any tools really. You can just use anything out of your kitchen.
The things that you create on your own, where do you find that inspiration from, like with your creations? Is it more like cartoon based? Is it something that you just made on the spot?
I really loved the surrealist movement, futurism, and abstract artists. So I always go back to them and just like look at their work, draw inspirations, get some scratch paper out, and just start doodling.
The picture that you sent me that we're going to use for the promotional photo, I didn't really know what that was, but it definitely had like that abstract look to it. So can you kind of explain what that was? Was it just something that was just I guess from the top of your head, or was that something that you've already focused on making?
Yeah, so that was just a little zoomed in image of the figure I made for the panel that I just had at Con and Con. So for the inspiration for that, I wanted to draw something simple that I could get done in 3 days, while also having a lot of personality to it and put a little world building in it. I knew I wanted to include those cubes, which are what I call a cube world. And they're just a bunch of cute little creatures where I make sure that they're facing different directions so that when you're looking at the piece, none of them feel like they're looking at the viewer. It looks like they're more engaged with their surroundings. And that gives me time to do a lot of visual imagery through form, through the shape of the cubes, rather than super details.
And how long does that usually take you to make a project? Do you have like an average time of when you from start to finish?
That project took me about 8 to 16 hours to finish.
And that's including with like the coloring and all that too, right?
Yeah, that's concept generation, and that's painting. I know that I had 8 hours of footage that I shot of me just sculpting away and painting.
Have you thought about doing time-lapse videos for your creations?
I want to do that, but I need a tripod. The video that I did, I can send you a link to it. It's on YouTube. I actually had to put the camera on my table and face down on me on the floor, but I only had my hand shown. So it looks like I'm working on this really nice crafting table, but I'm really lying on the ground with my shoulders like arched back for hours working on this. But you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you gotta get the right angle, especially when you're doing a time-lapse video. But that's really creative too. That way, like when viewers look, they think it's something other than what it really is. And I like seeing like when you have like an audience realize how you were able to do it. Like for me, like when I do my podcasting stuff, people think I'm in a studio or something, but really I'm just in my kitchen. And people are like, really? That's how you record? I'm like, yeah, man, because I don't have a studio.
Yeah, man, it's all perception, You act professional, people are going to think you're professional.
If you like podcasts like me and want to start your own, use Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout is a very effective and easy way to begin your podcasting journey. With easy-to-use tools, Buzzsprout can help you get your podcast to major podcasting platforms like Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more. You can view stats, create audio clips, and even have your own podcasting website. Buzzsprout has helped hundreds of thousands of people to begin their own podcasts like myself, and you can find ideas, tips, tricks, video tutorials to better your own podcast. Follow the link in the description to start your own podcast today. And once you sign up, you'll get a $20 Amazon gift card. This lets Buzzsprout know that I sent you, and this also helps support Spoiler Force Podcast. Happy podcasting. Do you struggle with eating junk food and late night snacking? Well, I've been using FNX Sports Rebalance Super Greens, and I've been able to control my eating habits, get my daily vitamins, fiber, and loose fat around my stomach area. The Rebalance Super Greens comes in multiple flavors and is easy to use by just mixing the supplement and water. You can drink this anytime during the day and feel energized without any groggy after effects. Use the code SPOILERFORCE, all one word, SPOILERFORCE, and get 15% off your very first order. With these conventions, did they reach out to you or did you go to them to get to these panels?
So I employed some of the tactics I use in recruiting, where I reach out to people and say, hey, I've got this panel that I've shot and I'm looking for a place to show it. I saw that you have this convention. Do you have a time slot you can give me? I reached out to probably 6 conventions, and 2 of them got back to me and said that they did have time. The other ones were just too far into the convention to add me.
Yeah, that's what's really cool too. With today with the virtual conventions, it's a bit easier to kind of reach out to them and try to show like a panel like that too. And but have you done a panel before where it wasn't virtual?
No, I haven't.
On this topic too, like we met through the Anime Expo Light convention. What were your thoughts on that? On the whole panels, like how they were running things through Twitch and all of that?
Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but during that time, they actually had 4 separate conventions going on at once. One for Anime Expo, one for Funimation, Animeplex, and another one, all during that weekend.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep, that's right. Because I didn't watch any of the Funimation stuff, but I was like watching Aniplex and Anime Expo. I think for Funimation you had to sign in or something to even attend there.
Yeah, they had a little bit of gatekeeping on there, and they had a little badge number that you had to put in.
Yeah. That's probably why I didn't attend or watch that one. But I guess the Anime Expo Light, from at least from my perspective, I thought they ran things pretty well. It wasn't too hectic. If anything, it was just more of the I don't know if you were there for the whole weekend, but like for those JoJo fans, they were like destroying on the chats on Friday.
Oh, I saw that. Everything was JoJo 24/7.
Yeah, because like I was on YouTube first, watching day one, and then they had like I don't know what it was exactly, but YouTube must have like taken on the live stream because of the music or something like that. So I just stuck with Twitch the rest of that weekend. But did you watch all of the panels too, or did you just stick with certain ones?
Well, going into that, I had to make a little spreadsheet to know which ones I wanted to see versus which ones were just going to be advertisements. And we also had the 4th of July weekend, so I was just trying to get in as many good ones as I could.
Yeah, I surprisingly for me, I tried to watch all of it, but there was just some that didn't really draw my attention. I think the ones I enjoyed the most were the Yaya Han panel, which one kind of surprised me. I didn't think that one was gonna be as good. And then the voice acting one for sure with Tom Oliver, that one was really good.
That one was good.
And then just the other stuff like with the Viz Media one and just the mainstream anime panels. Those ones were the ones I was paying attention to more. Yeah, but the Saturday one was all right. It wasn't.
Yeah,
I felt like that one was okay. The concert was pretty cool. And then I was like switching back and forth with Aniplex too. I was trying to keep up with Aniplex. But
Ooh, I wanted to see that concert, but I missed it. Was it live?
No, it was actually all pre-recorded. I wish it was live too. I was like I think a lot of the fans, we were all on Twitch and we were just like expecting it to be live. And I think the first person that they had was Maya Uchida. She performed first, and we thought it was live at first. And then when we really looked at it, we're like, "Oh, this is all pre-recorded." So like, yeah. So it was just like one set after the next set after the next set, and just like, they're probably performing in front of like an empty stage, and then just uploading the video. So it was, I mean, they did pretty good. I just felt really weird. I was like watching like those UFC fights with no audience. It was like that.
Oh yeah. Well, they have to have those fights keep going on. Did you see the one with I think it was Stone Cold, where it's like he's out in front of the stage, is like, I can't hear you, and it pans to the crowd and they're all just gone. He's like, I can't hear you, and he's just reading cue cards this whole time.
You know, with those, I'm not a big wrestling fan, but I've seen some of those matches, and the way they're doing it, I understand like they practice those moves and the stunts and all that, but it's just so awkward seeing like them trying to hype up the crowd with no crowd there.
Yeah.
I don't know how I don't know how they get into that kind of mindset, but for me, I would be very awkward to know there's no reaction, there's nothing you can feed off of, especially when there's like points where the wrestlers do their move sets and show like as if they're like prolonging the match. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but like when they're prolonging the match and they have to show like some sort of sense of urgency, you don't really feel that because there's no crowd there. So it's really awkward. They're like all like just crawling on the ring. And just like you're just seeing them act out. It's like watching Broadway or something.
Oh no. And a lot of those people, they have to be there too because of their contracts. They can't miss it. It's like saying, well, can I stay home? No, you have to work no matter what.
Those pre-recorded events for Anime Expo, that again, they were all right. It was just cool just to see like they put in all that effort and time to do it for this convention. And Aniplex was pretty much the same thing too. You know, they had like all their panels pre-recorded. And they did okay. It was just kind of weird because you know, they kind of knew what they were gonna say. It's like like you were saying, it was kind of like they were reading off of cue cards. But the Aniplex one ran really late on Sunday. I think it was like for at least for where I'm at, it ran to like almost 2:00 Eastern in the morning. So I couldn't even finish it. I had to wait till the next day to watch the panels.
Did you go to any of the meeting rooms that were live?
No, I did not. No.
Those were fun.
Yeah, I think didn't you have to like go through Windows Outlook or something like that to even go to it?
Yeah, it was like the Microsoft Hangouts. And those were really fun because they had a lot of artists in there. So you could comment with the artists while they're drawing and give them suggestions for you wanted to see them draw. I had a lot of fun with that, just seeing different people's art style and how they make their pieces.
Yeah, so it must have been live then.
Yeah, those were live.
Okay, that would have. I wish they did that instead of like pre-recording everything, because like you know with fans expecting so much stuff from these conventions, I understand like why they can't put out as much as they'd like to. You know, like going back to like these JoJo fans, you know, like they were expecting I don't follow that anime, but they were expecting something like a part 6 or something like that, and they got none of it, and everyone was just shut down from that. They were like, they all just left after that whole panel aired.
Yeah, well, when you have all of these great live streaming platforms, they should do more live events. I think there's a lot more room for fan engagement.
Yeah, I think I agree with that too. But you know what sucks too is like when they do go live, like it's always like these technical errors, and you know, sometimes the mics don't work, sometimes connection's bad. There was like some live panels during the Anime Expo where, you know, some people you could even hear what they were saying. I forgot. I think it was like a manga panel that they had on Saturday. Like one of them, they were trying to explain something between like the manga industry, why it's important to buy the books and not. illegally read them, and like their connections with the guests, they were like going in and out with the mic. It was just not crazy, but it was kind of hectic because you want to hear what they're saying, but they're live too, so you can't like pick back up what they're saying because they're on a schedule. So they have to keep moving on.
Yeah. And you always have that problem with somebody glitching out or disconnecting.
Oh, yep. Yeah, that's why like before we started, you were like, you didn't like Zoom. That's how some of the panels were being run. Like they were doing Zoom panels, and I'm like, why are they using Zoom? Zoom is terrible when it comes to being live. It was bad.
Yeah, first off, Zoom has a lot of latency when you're sharing your screen or showing a video, but then you double that up with whatever stream platform you're using, and you just get choppy footage.
Yeah, it's bad. Like I had a 1-year anniversary special for my podcast, but I used Zoom. The content that me and my friends we were talking about was decent, but the quality of the video was terrible. We were just talking and then we cut off mid sentence, like, "Oh, repeat what you said." It was just like, yeah, I'm not using Zoom anymore.
Oh yeah. Hey, for year 2, let's have a stadium. Let's do it live in front of a group of people. That'd be sweet.
Have you been to Anime Expo before?
This was supposed to be the first year that I was going to go in person.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went back in 2015, and it was a fun experience. At the time, though, I was like really into all the cosplay stuff, so I didn't even like attend any of the panels or like check out any of the other stuff. I was like taking photos of cosplayers, meeting the cosplay models like Leanne Vamp and Jessica Negri, like that. I was just meeting them. I wish I took more time to spend more time at the convention, like going to the panels. I forgot exactly what was going on that year, but for a fun first time experience, especially like having it in LA. So like there was tons of other stuff outside of the event to do.
And then when the convention's going on, it's kind of like the whole city becomes part of the convention too. No matter where you go, you'll see people in cosplay eating at restaurants, and everybody will be looking like, is it Comic-Con again? What's going on?
Oh yeah. We were in me and my friends, we were in Little Tokyo and just walking around, and people from the convention still in full costume walking around. It was really cool just to kind of see how interactive everyone was. But yeah, I haven't been to Expo since, and then with the light, this was, I mean, technically my second anime expo, but I would like to go back. But I heard like there was some years ago or even recently, like the way how they structured their lines, it's pretty hectic. One of my friends went one time, and he had it was like a mile out from the convention of just waiting in line.
I went to PAX for the first time last year, and just getting in was a line like that.
Where's PAX at? Is that in California too?
PAX West in Seattle.
Seattle. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never been to that one. I'm trying to get to more anime conventions now that
I'm... Oh, you should do that. We've got a couple great ones in Washington. We've got SakuraCon, Comic-Con, and PAX.
I've been going to more like comic con conventions more the past couple of years, but like I the way how I'm spending money versus like at an anime convention versus a comic book convention, I spend way more at like at a Comic-Con than I do at an anime con. So like I want to try to save money and budget myself. Because in Michigan we have one called Motor City Comic-Con, and I went there all 3 days, and I just blew a shitload of money from Artist Alley to meeting the guests there, and just overall it was a great experience. But man, it takes a toll on you financially.
Oh man, and you got to come in with big pockets. I'm a big collector of different things, so when I go to these events, I'm usually just pulling out my phone and I'm like, well, can I get it cheaper? Can I go on eBay and find the same thing?
Okay, yeah. I had a friend who did that. He was like trying to get with the vendors there and trying to get lower prices too. I didn't really do that. For me, there was one time where I was trying to buy like an All Might Funko Pop. It was the skinny one, and this kid was running a vendor with his dad, but the dad was like doing something else. So the kid came up to me. I was like, "Hey, how much is that All Might Funko Pop?" He's like, that's $18. I'm like, hell no, that is not $18. Not for that All Might Pop. I was like, I didn't go off on the kid, but I wanted to. I'm like, man, you are lying.
Oh man, dude, you're brutal.
Right?
You're brutal. I thought you were gonna tell me the kid came up and gave you like a lower price, and then you gave him a tip or something. No, you're just ripping into this kid who's just trying to make a quick buck for his dad.
Yeah, I'm just like really, like $18 for that? Like, hell no. I just walked off. And like the next vendor over, the guy was like, yeah, I'm selling this one for 10. I'm like, I'll just take that, dude.
Ooh. But did the kid try to sell you some Legos too? You start going off and this is actually this much on eBay. 1 star.
For me, I collect Funko Pops, not as much, but I knew the price ranges for it, and I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know. That kind of just, I think it was just the fact that it was a kid trying to, get more money out of me. I was like, what the hell? I'm not about to
Yeah.
get swindled by a little kid.
Oh, yeah, that kid's going places now.
So what else do you collect besides, do you collect the Funko Pops too, or like any other figurines?
Yeah, so Shin Godzilla is the main thing I started collecting. And it's funny because I never got figures before I went to Japan. I always thought, why do people spend so much money on these little like toys? That was my mindset. It's like, oh, these are so much money. No, no, no. I'm like, I could make something myself and I'd be just as happy with it. But after going to Japan, seeing all the discounts that they have and seeing just how high quality these figures are, it's like, well, let me buy this one. Let me start by buying the $150 one. And then I remembered that I saw some other figures at a store nearby for a couple of bucks. So I'm like, let me go there and get them too. And just a mixture of the deal hunting and just the overall like quantity because you're bombarded at every corner of the street with these figures. But so I collect Tamagotchis. I got a bunch of Tamagotchis, art reference books, CDs. I'm a big fan of 70s, 60s, 70s, 90s rock. I also have a lot of pets too. I kind of collect insects.
Besides Funko Pops, I try to collect like just select figures. Like I just started on this Demon Slayer stuff. They're Bandai. I think it's Bandai. Like they're Bandai figurines. I'm starting that, and then I got some friends who are like super hardcore, and so they buy like the SH art figurines and like the really expensive Marvel collectibles. I forgot what brand it was, but they're like the ones that are like over $200, and they have shelves of those figurines just like in their house. And I haven't done anything that insane. I think the most I've spent for a figurine is probably like $80. Oh no, that's wrong. I spent 90 because I bought a. I don't know if you know what Konosuba, the anime.
Okay, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, I bought the Megumin, the black mage. I bought her for $90. I'm trying to get the main character Cosmo, but it's hard. His figures are either like third party or sold by someone else on eBay. They're like jacking up that price. I'm just like, I'll wait till they release something else. I'm only like selecting what I want. Before, man, it came from like comic books because I would buy series, and if I had like a missing issue or if it was incomplete, then I go crazy because I have to complete that set. So when it comes to that, it kind of just went over with the Funko Pops and all the figurines that I have.
Oh,
So I'm
yeah.
trying to like calm myself down
and say, I'm cutting myself off now. Let me sell off a big chunk of these, and then something else pops up and you buy it.
Yeah, just like an endless cycle. So like for me now, I'm just like only buy the things that you really want, not the whole thing.
That's good too. Save some money for real experiences, vacations, and all of that. Retirement.
How was that trip to Japan though? You brought that up earlier. I've never been there before. I've had some friends who went there for like a card game tournament, but I've never been there. How was that experience?
Okay, let me tell you. First trip out of the country. Well, I've been to Mexico, but first trip really like out of the country for an extended period of time. Deal hunted, Airbnb. I decided when I was going, I was going to as many places as I could. So 1 week in Osaka and 1 week in Tokyo. First week I was there by myself, and then my girlfriend ended up coming the second weekend. We met up with some people from a Japan Meet group from Reddit. Went to $3 bars and did a lot of hiking. It was awesome. Loved the scenery. Met a lot of cool people.
How's Osaka's a big city there too, right? Is it more city or is that I'm picturing it like if it's like rural or something, but I'm pretty sure that's that big city there, right?
And I can't remember if there are prefectures. So Osaka's a prefecture, then there's like little cities inside of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because my friends they only went to Tokyo. They didn't go anywhere else. So I
Yeah.
saw like where they were at in Tokyo. They went to all like the nice like street vendors and all the restaurants there and stuff like that. So I saw that. But yeah, for me, I've never been to Tokyo. That's one of my bucket list things to do. Hopefully, I can get there before like this stuff around with COVID-19 gets worse.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they're doing some kind of travel reimbursement. They're giving stipends to travelers that are going to be coming up to I think it's like $200. So it might be a good chance to come up soon. America's probably going to be the last people invited over there, though.
Yeah. Yeah, with what's going on right now, I'm pretty sure.
I'll tell you, first impressions of Osaka when I landed, I was like, this is California if California was an anime. That's all I could think about.
Oh man, that's awesome, man. Like did you you said you went hiking. Where did you go exactly? Did you just go like from town to town, or did you go to actual like hiking trails?
So, well, one of them was hiking, not really hiking. I was going to Koyasan, which is a mountain, and it's really, really beautiful mountain, really far out. I think it's by kind of south of Osaka, southeast. Well, when you go there, you take a trolley car up the mountain, and it's like an old red trolley car, super cool. When you get to the top, they've got a tour bus that's $15. It takes you into town, $15 back. I was trying to save some money, so I said, why don't I just walk to the mountain instead of taking the tour bus? So I walked on the highway for about 45 minutes to get into town and then walked up and down the whole area.
I love the scenery that Japan has. Like from what we see on the media, to just see that, like, that's kind of what I expect. But to see it in person must feel a lot different.
Definitely. I don't know how the whole country is so photogenic. I was walking to another little hiking trail and I had to walk through some residential areas and there was a bridge. It was really rusted and really old above the little waterway. I was like, now this is really beautiful just because of how out of place it was. But not even like 20 meters ahead of it was another bridge covered entirely in a type of vine like ivy, and there was bushes coming out, so it was almost as if like no man had touched that area in like 100 years. It was so surreal.
Have you done like the whole thing where, like, I guess where tourists go to select areas where, like, that's featured in movies or anime shows? Have you done any of that?
I wasn't actually aware of that.
There's the film Your Name, with the ending scene where they're at the stairs. A lot of people do that, where they go to those stairs and like either reenact the scene or do like a video of them just like being near those stairs. That's, for me, that's why I want to go to Japan so bad, just to see where like the scenes from movies there, just be kind of like a weeb out there and just like look at all that stuff.
Now that you're talking about that, I did do that once. Did you ever play the game The World Ends With You?
Yes, I did.
Okay. No interest in Shibuya, no interest in really going there besides like Hachiko. But I remember 10-4 or 10-9 in the game and the scramble crossing. I said, now I need to go there and I need to be a part of
that. Did you watch the that trailer for The World Ends With You?
Oh, I did.
What were your thoughts on that?
Everybody was mad because they thought the flip phone wasn't going to be in it. There was people so mad about like old tech, like they're not even gonna have the flip phone because they're making quality of life changes.
That game came out so long ago. I remember reading about it in my Game Informer in middle school. At the time, I didn't even have like a Nintendo 3DS or a DS at that time to even play that game, so I had to wait to experience that game. And then just like a few months ago, I bought it on my iPhone, so I'm playing that again. And then with that, just coincidentally, they're showing the anime, so I was really excited about that. And their panel was really great too. And I loved it how they teased Tetsuya Nomura, just his voice. They didn't even show him; he was just there.
Oh man! I think I missed that part of it. I have to go back and rewatch it.
Yeah, because at the end of the panel, they kind of like I forget. I'm not going to confirm this, but like I know they talked about like if there's any changes coming to this anime because they don't want to wrap it up so quickly within one season. So a lot of fans were in the comment section were like speculating that maybe Nomura is going to pull some sort of Final Fantasy VII remake twist to it. I hope not, because I don't like this whole aspect of time traveling. But I hope that he does do something to where it'll throw the fans or viewers off, and hopefully like the anime can be stretched out longer than like 2 seasons or something.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. Yeah, and it has a really solid story to it, but I also feel like it still is a little bit dated because back when it came out, people wanted more edgier stories than what we get now. So yeah. What's the opening? The guy's like, I've got my problems, you've got yours. And he puts his headphones on and like, let me be by myself.
Yeah. I like how they still stuck with the with how it looked originally. They didn't do any major changes to the characters. I love that how they still kept it like it almost looks like the video game exactly. You know, with the very dark outlines and just how they did it. I thought that I liked how they still kept it like that. And then they also kept the original voice cast from all those years ago, and the music still. I believe the music's still the same because they have Takeru Ishimoto back on the music for the anime too. So I love his work too.
That's what I'm really excited about is getting to hear some of that music reimagined or remixes on it because that had a killer soundtrack.
Oh yeah, they do. That's that's the thing about like with Square Enix, like when it comes to their games like that with Final Fantasy, The World Ends with You, Kingdom Hearts, like they always have something that's memorable with their music. That way you can always like remember how like the game was. So I love how they really incorporate music with their content. Like I was saying with Takeru Ishimoto, I love his rock style of music. And if they do like some sort of reimagining for The World Ends with You, I hope like they do really great. I guess it's like modern day or like updated versions of the soundtracks too.
Yeah, still keep those hip hop influences, kind of streetwear, fast fashion.
So what else do you do besides sculpting? Recently, you said you got your degree, which is great, right before COVID too.
Yeah. So everybody's saying, "What are you going to be doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm making figures right now. I'm going on a podcast. I'm doing a lot of things." They're like, "Okay." It's like, "You getting paid for that though?" A lot of struggles with that. I've just been applying to a lot of places and meeting a lot of interesting people.
It's good to networking continuously, because you never know who you're going to run into. And that's what I'm doing on my end too, just reaching out to see if anyone's even willing to network. And from what I've learned over the past 2 years or so of just podcasting, work with those who really who want to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to reach out to people with like bigger brands or with bigger deals, but everyone's reaching to them. So the chances of you even being able to work with them is still competitive. But then if you find network with folks that are like not so much on the same playing field, but like the ones who are willing to just work with you, I think that's how we all build each other up.
Keep your doors open because everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to think that you're going to get this one connection with the guy at Safeway, but he'll know more than he leads on.
With everything that's going on too, like, have you been watching any of the recent anime that's been out for the summer at all?
I just started watching Rent a Girlfriend because I've been following the manga of that. So it finally got an anime adaptation. I was really excited to see how they took the story and did the animation.
Yeah, I've been watching that too. Like a lot of my friends are making fun of me who are watching that. Like, why are you watching this rom-com? And I'm like, dude, I bought the first volume and I got hooked.
It is crazy good. And all the different characters in it. I'm a Ruka man myself, so I want to see her get some.
I haven't caught up exactly. I'm still catching up with it too. But I do have like I have some volumes for that series pre-ordered through Amazon, so I can't wait to start reading it physically. But the anime itself, man, it's so good. There were some changes though. There's a change in episode 2. I won't say what it is exactly, but there's a minor change in episode 2. But I've been following just like to see who's behind the cast and all that. I really like the actress for Mizuhara. She's the same voice actress for like Aqua and Konosuba. I forgot what the girl's name in Tokyo Ghoul, but the main girl in Tokyo Ghoul that helps Kaneki. And then she's really great. And it's funny because like she's so mellow in person, and then when you see her like behind the mic or when she's acting as a character, she's a completely different person. So like hearing her voice in Rent a Girlfriend was really cool, and she's doing a great job from what I'm seeing.
Oh yeah, the voice acting's really stellar in that. Have you been following the author's Twitter? Because before the series came out and like a little bit after it got released, he started putting out phone numbers that you could call into to actually listen to pre-recording messages from the characters done by the voice actresses.
No, I have not. I did not know that. If anything, the only thing I read about the author was like an interview on, I think it was on Aniplex. They were just talking about like why he got into that topic of like the whole Rent a Girlfriend thing. And I never knew about this either, like Japan doing that kind of service. So it was totally intriguing for me. Like I was reading up on it and like seeing how people really do it in real life, and then I watched the Conan O'Brien
That's some
video
good research there.
Yeah.
The Conan O'Brien video.
And so I watched his video too, like when he was renting the family. You know, he's so comedic too, so like he has that sarcastic humor, and it was just funny how he was renting like people, and just like, wow, man, people really do this shit in Japan. It's crazy. And you know, in the States, it looks, you know, we see it as if it's so weird, but Japan, they just normalize it.
Yeah, going to Japan, the normality there is definitely different than the US. I think one of the funniest experiences I had is I went into a Don Quixote. I was looking for some, I forget what it was, but you go into Don Quixote and you buy everything in the store. They've got food, they've got shirts, and just anything. And I was on one of the floors, which was had some toys on it, and right next to the toys was a sex section with like a little division between them. And the sex section had all these lights and all these dildos swirling around and going in every direction. And it's right next to the kids' toy section. There's some families there. I'm just like, I'm shocked when I see this. I have to pull over to a person. I'm like, do you see what this is? And they're like, what? I'm like, so you got the toys here and you got the sex toys right here. I said, boy. I got to think for a second. Then he started laughing. Like, oh man.
I wouldn't know how to react to that. In the States, like we keep that stuff, like, you know, we section off that kind of content, and we don't keep it out in the open too.
Me and my girlfriend both got locked inside of a porn shop in Tokyo 5 minutes before we're trying to meet our friends.
Oh shit.
Yeah, no fire escape too. I'm just like, we're gonna die in this porn shop.
Like, could you imagine just like being locked in there and like, oh yeah, you know, the couples in that porn shop, you know, like, you know,
it was so tragic. Right?
Just like, yeah, they got locked in there, you know.
Can somebody identify this couple?
Oh man, that's a funny story to tell you to folks.
Oh yeah.
Man.
Well, and the reason we were locked in there too is, you know how they have those vending machines where you can buy girls' panties out of it?
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Holy shit! Yeah,
I went for one of my boys. I told him, I said, "Do you want something from Japan?" He said, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, vending machine panties." He said, "I don't want vending machine panties." I said, "That's what you're getting though. I'm gonna find them." And it took the longest time for me to find any of them, but I found them in the small sex shop on their basement floor. So I put in $10 into the machine, you know, and I pick one of them, and I wait. Nothing happens. Machine ate my money. And these were $10. $10. That's a lot of money to spend on some vending machine panties. So I went to talk to the store owner, and they had Japan crams everything. So in their stairwell, they had a door that opened into the stairwell, and the vending machine was right across from that door. So right when the guy goes out to work on the vending machine, and you know, he opens it up there, we're in this sex shop, and the door is butted up against it, and you can't leave. And we're there for about 20 minutes while the guy's working the vending machine.
You just got locked in because of the door right there.
Yeah.
Oh, oh man. All for vending machine panties.
You know, and after that, I said, well, okay, let me just get my money back. And, you know, we spent a lot of time here. I just kind of want to go. I've got to meet up with some other people. And the guy said, no, which one did you get? I said, can I just get the money? He's like, you got to pick one. Was it this? I said, sure, that one. That's the one. Whatever. And then the guy opens up the panties and looks at them and checks the card to make sure that it matches the one there. And then he shows it back in. And I'm just like, you ruined the magic behind it. You wouldn't do this at Disneyland.
Just how they treat it so normally, like it's just like a prop, you know, like, oh, all right, here you go. And like no concern of like the fact that you're holding panties in front of people. Just here you go.
Yeah.
Have you been watching any of the other series that came out? I know God of High School came out on Crunchyroll. That's a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, I'm really waiting for Guguk to do a comprehensive review of all of the shows and then just start picking ones from the list.
Do you prefer watching it sub or dub?
JoJo's got to be subbed. You don't get the right pronunciation of the names in the dub.
Yeah, you know, I think with anime now, I think a lot of folks are referring to sub, because it's so much different from like how it was back in the early 90s, late 80s anime. And the studios behind it now are like so much better than before. And I don't know, for me, at least from how I see it with sub, it's the nuances are different. than with English dubbed. And now it's kind of like reversed now. Like before I used to prefer English dubbed over sub, and then like just with all this new stuff that's coming out, I really prefer sub. That for me, it just sounds more natural to the ear when like it matches the character more.
Yeah, I know no matter what though, like my brain's gonna tune out all of what I'm hearing and I'm just gonna read the subtitles.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the thing too. Like a lot of dub watchers, they don't like to read the subtitles, so they would rather just hear it. And then, because like someone told me, I don't know if everyone does this, but one of my friends was like, "Yeah, I only watch dub so that I can do other stuff and listen to it." I'm like, then why watch it if you're not even gonna watch the show? Just walking around listening to it, just listen to a podcast or something.
Yeah, well, a lot of people won't have the same experience, but growing up, I do a lot of multitasking. I'd be chatting on the phone with my friends while we're playing games, like single player games and stuff like that. And I'd have what is it called again? A portable DVD player, right?
Oh man,
And
those are
I'd have like George Lopez, all the seasons, Full House, before we had any streaming platforms. I just be loading those CDs in there and putting them off in the distance because it's nice to have that background noise.
yeah. When you bring that up too, like that's not even. I don't even think that exists anymore, man. Those portable DVD players, like with those came with like the screen, right?
Yeah, screen built into it. If you ever went on a train, you could rent, and this was like the craziest thing. You'd be able to rent a portable, like DVD player with a few movies and a few TV shows already on it. And this is when you could watch Scrubs on a train.
Yeah, that's just like makes me feel old when I think about that stuff. Because like I still remember when that stuff was like hot. Everyone was buying it. I think like for my family, like my sister, she always had one because she was always like watching her anime or watching like her Asian pop dramas and shit like that. So she'd always have that around, and so like now that's not even no one has it. Everyone all of that's on your phone now, like with streaming services being available.
And me and my sister, we had a big fight once over renting DVDs versus purchasing them. Because if you bought a DVD, it was about $20, and she would say, "Well, I can just watch it whenever I want." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's like $20." I'm like, "Why don't I just go to Blockbuster and I pick it up for a week? I'm like, I can watch as many times during that week."
That's like something like a lot of these. I sound like an old head when I'm saying this, but like a lot of these new kids won't ever remember like that experience of going to Blockbuster during the weekends just to rent out a game or rent out a movie that's like hot on the shelf. I think that kind of like the effort to go out there and to do that. I think that's what a lot of us older folks miss, just the effort of going out and doing it. But now everything's just so easy; you could just do it at home. It's more convenient for sure with the streaming services.
Well, and back then too, from Blockbuster, we'd pick up a different copy of Pokemon Silver each week, and it'd be like a rush during that week to beat the game before you have to return it.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did run out like Game Boy games. Like they always had like someone else's saved data on there, and you check to see what they did before. Then you just have to beat the game quickly. That's right.
Or you luck out and you recheck out one that already has your save data on it, and you're like, "That's right. This is my history engraved in this game."
I've never encountered that before. Whenever I rented out like a Pokemon game, I always checked to see who played it before, like what they did, but I never was able to. I never had that chance of getting a game that I rented that had my data on it. So Kaizer, before we wrap things up, was there anything that you'd like to shout out or plug before we end here?
I'm going to be releasing a Webtoons comic coming up really soon in the next couple of weeks, so follow me on Instagram to hear about that. It's a kind of action comic set during the Qing Dynasty, and it's a play on Red Riding Hood. So it's got demons, fantasy aspects, and it's really cool. We spent a lot of time working on this. I think we've done about 3 or 4 drafts of each page before deciding on one that we're really happy with, and it's got a really traditional Chinese background art style, so it has brush strokes in it, and then the characters on top of it are really clean and polished. They have really clean and polished line art, and everything's full colorized.
I already follow you on Instagram, but I'll definitely like check that out too. And for the listeners, again, I'll have Kaizer's information on the or in the descriptions below. That way you can check out his social media. And do you have anything else besides Instagram? Do you have like a YouTube or Twitter at all?
If I'm on next time, I'll have the art station to share with you.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. We'll definitely talk about that too. Um, right. So for the folks who are listening, thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much, Kaiser, for making time to be on the podcast. Man, it's been fun to have someone that's different from every other guest that I've had. You're the first person that I've had that's like a sculptor that's into that kind of 3D artwork. So it's been great to have you on to learn what you do, and hopefully next time if I can get you back on the podcast, we can talk more about your webtoons that you're doing as well.
And then also maybe some of the cryopreservation too. I'd love to dip into some of that.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely make sure to study up more on that. With this episode, I had no idea like how to bring up that topic because
I know. I was wondering when would be a good time. I was like, we're talking about Japan and we're kind of on a roll here.
No, but yeah, we'll save that for the next part, man. I'll hit you up for sure, so that we can do the second episode or something together like that, and we'll add that in for sure. But yeah, thank you for doing this, man. I'm glad that you that you reached out to me as well, and good luck with all the stuff that you're doing too.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll be following your show and watching some more of the new episodes that are coming out. I want to see what other kind of characters you met during Anime Expo.
So for those who are listening, thank you so much for tuning in. This is episode 64 of Spoiler First Podcast. Thank you and have a great weekend.
See ya.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow, like, share, subscribe, and rate Spoiler First Podcast. For comments, questions, or criticism, you can email me at rickyvang92@gmail.com or message me on Instagram at instagram.com/rickyvang92.